You're watching Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
Evander Kane gets another surgery that will keep him out 12 more weeks. The playoffs are 13 weeks away. What a break for Stan Bowman. Let's get into it with the lead. The Oilers' final regular season game is 96 days away. You divide that by 7, it's roughly 13 and a half weeks. Evander Kane is going to be out another, call it 4 to 8 weeks. And, oh my God, he has to pause his recovery from his other injury, which was going to be another 4 to 8 weeks.
Damn.
8 to 16 weeks? What's the middle of that? 12 weeks? It just lines up so well. Welcome into Oilers Nation every day, or as Chase says in the chats, cap circumvention every day with Tyler Yaremchuk. The show is a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. The show comes to you live from the Sports Closet studio. Check them out online, sportscloset.ca. 3 locations in the Edmonton area: Short Park Mall, St. Albert Mall, Kingsway Mall. As we welcome back, careful, Liam takes a day off, and all of a sudden he's bonking into his little stand thing.
Hello, everybody. I have returned. I feel like I'm much further back today, but that's fine.
Yeah, actually, you are.
Yeah, I'm quite kicked back. Maybe when we switch cameras, I'll adjust.
Yeah. You gotta scoot up, big guy. All right. There's a bunch of stuff to get to today. Obviously, the Oilers played last night, but we will talk about that. It'll be fine. The Oilers, by the way, is still a very good team, regardless of the result last night. Jason Demers bailed on us. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it.
So we're going to make it work early next week with Demers. He did say Tuesday would work for him. So I think next week, Tuesday, Demers. Chase on promised us a day next week. So people are making promises to us. They're just breaking them.
Yeah, they got to fulfill it.
And I'm not afraid to call them out. You know what? I know how upset the chat gets when we don't have a JD on the show on a Friday. So anyways, he has good reason
from Ryan.
Yeah, he has good reason not to be here. So we're not going to hold it to him as long as he makes it up to us with a fire appearance next week on the show. But before we get into the game, like the big conversation, Liam, is obviously the Evander Kane thing from today.
Yeah.
It comes kind of out of the blue. Like Stan Bowman or Mark Spector had a piece yesterday where he interviewed Stan Bowman, and Stan Bowman was like, yeah, we're going to need clarity on it. I don't know when that's coming. And then today, a 4 to 8 week rehab on a knee surgery for Evander Kane that went down yesterday. This is going to, and I'll read it directly from the Oilers release. While this procedure is unrelated to his abdominal surgery in September, it will require him to pause his current rehabilitation schedule to recover from Thursday's operation. So he can't rehab the knee and the abdomen at the same time. He hasn't skated or done anything really like physical rehab. Like none of that's happened to his or with his abdominal injury. It is very easy to see that this was the plan all along, or at least easy to connect dots if you want to speculate. And maybe that's all we should be doing is speculating, Liam. But like, come on, you're telling me that 8 weeks before he was scheduled to return from the abdominal surgery, he then found out he needed a knee surgery. And Evander Kane, in speaking to the media today, said, I'm going to play again this year. He was asked if he's frustrated by this surgery, and he said, no, I'm happy to get it done because the goal is to play again this year. It all lines up.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that Evander Kane's on board with the idea of not playing this season. You know, he could have easily taken a different approach to it. But yeah, I mean, I did not wake up this morning when I saw this all this come out. I was not surprised for a second. Like it just seemed so obvious that this was the plan the whole time. The only thing that I don't know, maybe he can go on a conditioning stint to Bakersfield. I know
he won't even need it now at this point.
But now, yeah, he's probably fine. So it's good. The one thing he did say was that he's been like off ice stuff, like in the pool and stuff like that, but he has not been on the ice.
Yeah.
But that's not surprising. He's probably been on the ice.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he'd have a reason to not be truthful about that.
Well,
right? Like, again,
I guess
these are also kind of injuries where, like, again, a broken arm, you can tell, like, broken arm, is it healed? Yes. The knee and an abdomen, that's very much like a how are you feeling injury,
I suppose,
right?
Yeah.
So again, this is going to line up. Isaac commented, LTIR merchants. This is what Oilers fans wanted, though. Like, how many times did we complain about Vegas and the Tampas and all these teams who do this stuff? Dallas is doing it this year with Tyler Seguin.
You need someone to do it for you, though. You need a reason.
Yeah, you can't you can't just snap your fingers and have it pop up out of thin air.
And Evander Kane has legit reasons. Like, he missed games in the Stanley Cup final last year. Like, played his dream of being in that moment, and he couldn't go any further than what he did. So I'm glad he's getting healthy, and we'll see what he can bring again, right? Like, it's very difficult to come back after not playing for that long and immediately get thrown into a playoff situation. But luckily, the Oilers are a deep enough team that they can maybe ease him into things and see where he can kind of fit in a lineup and just let him go at his own pace, I guess you can say. But the pace needs to be somewhat quick too.
So some of you talking in there about how much money the Oilers could have at the trade deadline. I think that's a natural spot to go really quick. Right now on Puckpedia, the Oilers have $447,000 of cap space. If they run this all the way to the deadline at this rate, they're only going to have $1 million in deadline cap space. So, I mean, not a lot, obviously. That is also, though, with Josh Brown up. As soon as they send Josh Brown down, they're going to start accruing a little bit more. So I think you could probably say they're going to have around $2 million in deadline cap space to be able to use. And then now with Evander Kane's LTIR, you're going to have another $5.1 million in cap hit that you can squeeze in at the deadline. So a good amount of spending money here, Liam. And where I think it'll get interesting is if the Oilers can do something where they use their accrued cap space. Let's say they get it up to 2.5, and they find that defenseman, it's 50% retained, and you use all of your accrued cap space on the big ad somehow. And then you can sit there. And I mean, we've seen it before. Remember, Gustav Nyquist was a guy who was basically just out there. It was like, hey, whoever wants to pay him, I know he was hurt at the time, but like, whoever wants to pay him can have him. Max Domi was like that too, where it was like, hey, we're going to get him double retained, and whoever wants him can have him. It puts you in a spot to maybe add a depth piece that you didn't think you'd be in a position to add earlier. Someone whose cap hit is high, who's fallen out of favor with their rebuilding team, pending UFA. Like, if you have that money, spend it is kind of what I'm getting at.
I've been thinking about this a lot.
Okay.
Like I do, and I come to the show every day with a different trade idea.
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? Do you think they have to spend it all?
I think they should, especially if it's a matter of, like, again, I don't have an example in front of me right now, but like, who are some of the pending UFAs? Let's go to a team like San Jose. Okay, let's say San Jose's sitting there at the deadline. They have no more retained salary spots, and they're like, you know what? We want to get rid of Michael Granlund.
Yeah.
And they go around the league, and all the contenders are like, we're not taking him at $5 million. And it's the day of the deadline. Edmonton has their D-man, and they just go, hey, we're going to send out Derek Ryan. There's $900K. We're only going to use $4.1 million of this LTIR space. And we'll give you a third for Michael Granlund. I mean, you're way underpaying, but you put yourself in a spot where you can take on his full cap hit. And Granlund's maybe not like a very good example in all of that, because he's going to have value. But is there a check down from Granlund somewhere? Again, got to be a pending UFA that you're dealing with. But like, you can put yourself in different markets now, and more unique markets.
Would you judge them off the deadline based off the money they have left? I guess that's more of my question.
No, I'm definitely judging them based on the quality of players they bring in and those trades. Like, if they sit here and, like, let's say they just have a banging deadline and they get Mike Matheson, and it's a way better deal than we thought. And they even get, what did they get? Like Jake Evans in the deal. And it's like, whoa, they got a high-end bottom six centerman, and they got a really good defenseman with term. And they have $3 million of the LTR money. I'm not going to sit there and be like, damn, why didn't you spend it all? I'll sit there and go, no, you did what you had to do. You're good. Yeah.
I was interested. And the reason I'm kind of bringing it up a bit too is there was an article from Matt Larkin, who is joining us today, right?
Yep.
Just talking about what the past Stanley Cup champions have done. And only 2 of them have traded a first round pick.
Well,
in the last 10 years.
So we dug into this yesterday.
Cool.
AB, do we still have the board? You'll grab it. So there is some interesting context in there of who have and haven't traded away first round picks. It's actually, I think it's 3 of them, because San Jose did it with Gaudreau and Coleman. San Jose did it with David Savard, technically. And then,
you mean Tampa Bay?
Yeah, sorry, Tampa. So Tampa did it with Coleman and Gaudreau. Tampa did it with David Savard. Chicago did do it with Antoine Vermette. That was a deal that had a first round pick.
So those are the 3. Did I say 2? Sorry, I meant 2 teams. 3 times it's happened.
But then there also is some missing context there of like Vegas didn't trade a first at the deadline when they won, but that's because they traded their first to get Eichel. And then they traded Dean, who was the 21st overall pick, to go get Barbashev. So they did make that move. Colorado in 21-22, they traded a second for Manson. They traded a second and Justin Barron, who was a first-round pick, for Manson, and a second for Lehkonen. So, like, they did go all in. Florida didn't have their first because they traded it for Tkachuk. So, like, you can look and say that the last 5 teams did do something significant.
Yeah, and I guess it is finding that equivalent. That's where the Oilers will kind of run into a bit of trouble. Maybe if they're trying to get, like, say, I don't know, whoever it may be, because like they don't have that first round prospect. They have 2 of them, of course, like Savoy and O'Reilly, but like I doubt they move them because they quite frankly just don't have anything else outside of them in many ways. So it's going to be interesting. I just don't know which way you go. I think the defenseman is obviously a lock. Like, whichever way you decide to turn, if it's a top 4 guy or just a guy you can play on your bottom pairing, like, but for the forward, like, if they just were like, hey, like, we know Evander Kane's coming back, I don't think I would be that disappointed in them if they use that cliche term of like, he's our trade deadline ad. Because at the end of the day, like, he's like, I'm saying not necessarily like not adding like a depth piece, but if they didn't add like a huge impact guy and they were like, well, we know Evander Kane's coming back and they'll do a job for us too. I don't think that's such a bad thing.
But also, if you're there again at the deadline, and let's say Nashville's like, shit, we can't find a taker for Gustav Nyquist,
then for sure
$3 million, and if you can afford it and it costs you a fifth, you just do it.
You do it, yeah, and hopefully that deal comes for them.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying though. Like, you don't just want to like spend for the sake of spending,
just because you can.
But I also think you should be exploring kind of every avenue as you go through here.
Like yesterday, you can't take the money with you.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Actually, you can take the money with you.
Well, it could protect. Well, the LTIR space won't help them protect from their bonus overages. So really, there's no reason there, right?
Like Vegas went all in last year in a way, and they get Hurdle, Mantha, and Hannafin, and they managed to keep 2 of them.
Yeah,
maybe that's the approach.
2 of them came with like Hannafin. They extended like
and Mantha was a second round pick, which is crazy.
Okay, let's quickly, because we're gonna have Matt Larkin on right away. We're gonna keep talking about deadline stuff. Let's talk about the game last night though, and do our scoring summary, which is brought to you. Oh, I'm excited to welcome them back to the show. Booster Juice is back. They're a proud sponsor of what we're doing out at Jasper with the Pond Hockey Tournament. Proud partner for the Jasper Pond Hockey Tournament, January 23rd to 25th on Lake Mildred. Oilersnation, powered by Booster Juice. Visit a location today to refuel, refresh, and re-energize, or download the new Booster Rewards app to earn, order, and enjoy. Strawberry Sunshine.
Macho Monsoon.
Strawberry
Sunshine. We're not doing, you're not going back and forth and see how many you can name.
Mango Hurricane.
Funky Monkey.
Ah, damn, that was my next one. I'm out.
I'm good too.
Those are my 2 go-tos.
It's the only ones.
That's all I know.
Or I'll get a protein ball. You're looking for a little snack.
Why not? They are good. The food there is actually really, really good.
Paninis are underrated.
Yeah, the paninis are really good. All right, scoring summary for last night. We picked this one up in the second period. The Oilers got smoked early on in that hockey game. Raquel, Rust, Hayes, and Drew O'Connor had the 4 Pittsburgh goals. Here's the first one. I mean, yeah, I don't want to relive all of these Penguins goals, but boy, did the Oilers ever look terrible in that opening frame. Like, they could not complete a pass. There was so much standing around. When they weren't standing around, they were wildly putting themselves out of position. It was just so much bad in the first 15 minutes of that hockey game.
It just felt like every time Pittsburgh got the puck in the offensive zone, they were able to get like a quality chance away.
Yeah.
And it was just very unlike the Edmonton Oilers. That's why I'm not like too upset about this game. I think you have a Pittsburgh team who obviously has a ton of experience, who doesn't want to lose 5 in a row, knows they've blown a couple of leads and came out hot and heavy, and the Oilers were not able to counter that. And this is, I think, just a collective effort of bad goals against. Maybe Stu could add a couple, but I also think defensive coverage was bad on the ones that were clearly other people's fault.
Oh yeah,
they were bad.
Yeah, and people were complaining about Stu, but M-Bub says it. The team hung Skinner out to dry, and I do think like Skinner didn't play great. Maybe he could have bailed them out, made a couple more big saves, but also, if it was 2-0 after the first and they were both goals that I'm like, and those were the Oilers' only mistakes, then I'm like, okay, I'll put some blame on Skinner. When you make 5 mistakes, like just boneheaded plays in the first period, and 4 of them end up in the back of your net, okay, that we're not sitting here pointing fingers at the goalie.
This Hayes one specifically to me, he's
Like,
wide open in front of the
this
net.
was so-
he's just dancing.
Like,
come
what was
on.
Kulak doing?
Like, so unnecessary for Kulak to move there, because the thing is too, like, he moves so late that it makes Skinner and Hyman look kind of dumb as well, because they're just standing around. But I don't know. I feel like that coverage isn't awful. Maybe I'm.
Well, it's just the mistake from Kulak.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it just breaks everything down so quickly.
Yeah.
Whatevs.
Leon Draisaitl scored in the first period, his 30th of the year. In the second period, Sidney Crosby made it 5-1. It felt like the backbreaker, but it ended up actually being a bit of a rallying point
Kinda, yeah.
for the Edmonton Oilers, because they just flipped the script after that. It was 5-1, and then in the span of the final 10 minutes of the period, Leon Draisaitl would find the back of the net here. What a shot by Leon Draisaitl from that far out to bury that thing. Beautiful. And you see him peeking up at the clock a little bit there too. So that goal gave them a little bit of life, and Draisaitl was apparently fired up in the flyby after the goal as well. But Chris Knobloch recognized that a lot of guys did not have it that night, and he went, you know what, the only way we're going to get back in this hockey game is if we load up the big guns, and load up the big guns he did.
What do you think of that? So we talked about this on pregame last night. Basically, when the Oilers scored their first goal, what was it? Draisaitl obviously scored. Yeah. It was about 7:30 left in the first period, and that was either their first or second shift together, maybe even their first together. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the game, that is what stuck. Like, what do you think? Do you think that's too early to do it? Do you not think it matters?
I think once in a while it's fine. Like, as much as I usually roll my eyes at it, it was so apparent that they were, like, when McDavid and Draisaitl were on the ice, it looked like a power play every single shift.
Yeah.
And it was like that from basically the first shift. Knobloch put them together. So if you're Chris Knobloch, you're sitting there going, okay, we're down 5-1. If we're going to get this kind of a comeback, we might need a lucky depth goal. But when you see how McDavid and Draisaitl played those first two shifts together, it's like, okay, they got it tonight. So if anyone's going to pull us out of it, it's going to be them.
Yeah, I totally don't disagree. Like, and that's evidently what the idea was behind it. I just think this team's so much better when they can they're able to throw them out one after another. And
they are, but not when you're down 5-1.
But they were down 3-0. They got a goal, and then they just went out and threw them out again, and they were the line that got the fourth goal against them. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, like, spot starts for sure. And maybe the fourth goal is the one that kind of changed things a little bit, but I just think that, like, you have guys on this lineup, like, essentially, like, to me, when you put those three together, you're telling everybody else you cannot win the game for us tonight. I honestly feel like that's the exact if I was a player, that's how I would kind of feel, because, and you have to admit, watching as a fan, you probably feel the same. Like, when anybody else is on the ice, you think they're not scoring right now.
Yeah, but I also think the other players, like, you need to recognize, like, it's professional sports, right?
We're not
managing
worried about
feelings
people's feelings. I'm just thinking of, like, a team aspect of things, of like last night. So Nugent Hopkins ended up playing 19-15, but did you recognize him at all at 5-5?
Not really, but and another thing too, like, if I was one of those guys, let's say I'm Arvidsson, okay, they pulled Draisaitl off my line, I'd be sitting there, because again, you want to win. The priority is winning in Edmonton. I'd be sitting there going, hey, whoever, Nuge, Podkolzin, because I actually thought Podkolzin had a great game yesterday.
He did all right, yeah.
He had a couple of rushes where he was just flying, making really, really skilled, creative plays with the puck. I'd be sitting there going, the three of them, boys, if we get one, we know Connor and Leon got two for us. Like, I think it can be a rallying point for the team. Like, hey, those guys are going to do theirs. Other nine of us, like, they're not stupid. They all know where they stand on the team.
For sure.
I think it should be a rallying point of, like, okay, let's go. If we break even, if we get one, we got the big guns getting us two tonight. I don't know.
But I think too, like,
and to be fair, if one of those lines had done anything,
they probably would have won. And they did have chances. Like, Yaremchuk had a really good chance. I think it was the start of the third period, maybe the second. I can't recall which one of the two it was. I just think that, like, you roll those guys out, it seems to just give you a better chance to win. And I agree. Like, they do it all the time, where it's like after a penalty kill or coming out of a TV time.
Which I think is the more effective way to do it.
I think so too. And, like, I know it's not happening all the time. And I just think that's the best way for them to win.
I always say it's break glass in case of emergency. That felt like emergency status yesterday, kind of 10 minutes into that.
Like 2-0, I hate when they do it. 3-0, even then I don't like it. But when it's 5-1 halfway through the game, like, I even just think for the second half of the second period, if that game's 5-1 going into the third, I bet you we don't see them together in the third.
Oh, totally.
But I think it's like, okay, we have 10 minutes to try to get back in this hockey game. Let's try again. Play those guys for 5 of the next 10. See if they pop to. You have a shot in the third. If not, you tried. It's throwing your best pitch in a full count.
Totally. I don't know. I just don't love it. I feel like you can do it at different moments in the game. But nevertheless, they did it. The entire game. Leon Draisaitl played 27 minutes and 20 seconds yesterday. McDavid, 26:55. Hyman, 23:30. Also, I've just had enough of Hyman being on the third line. That is got to be over now.
Really?
It has to be done. Like, I think it gets to a point where it's like Connor Brown was playing really well on the third line. And I think he deserved the promotion to the first line. But it becomes like, okay, we need McDavid. McDavid goes 2 games pointless, and they don't play Hyman next to him.
I do get that, giving McDavid a bit more support. But we talked about that with Bruce yesterday on the show, where like maybe you do need another scoring winger.
I've been saying it for weeks.
Now you got all
one of my other ideas.
Now you're gonna have all this fun cap space to play with. I don't know.
Bring me back Taylor Hall. Don't do that. Please don't. Stan, no.
Hall, McDavid, Hyman.
Wow. They should have drafted a player like Hall.
You're Rusty says you're spicy today.
I am a little frustrated.
With me?
No.
Sexually?
Sworn up.
I'm just playing.
I just like
I thought you're gonna never mind.
No, I'm not following up on that comment. Like some of the decisions, and I'm not blaming the players, and the coaching staff hits like 900. They're great staff. But there was even a moment yesterday. And again, this is not Josh Brown's fault, but you have an offensive zone draw. You're down 3-1. You just scored a goal, and you put Josh Brown on the ice for an offensive zone draw.
Oh, that was dumb as shit.
And the first thing he did was fire a shot, which he should have shot into the shin pads of someone.
Yeah, and they wasn't fast enough to get back.
They made the mistake coming back, but that's not his fault. He was put in a bad situation, and I just think in those moments, like put Kulak there. You know he's got the mind to play in this, and he's done well this season.
Yeah.
I don't know. Silly. Even Steven's in. Oh my, Tyler. Crazy. See what I got to deal with here? You would never say that to Frank. Frank would say that to you.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, let's continue along with the show. We're good. Just flushing that one. 4-game winning streak comes to an end. You had to lose eventually. Beat the hell out of the Hawks tomorrow, and we're all good.
Sure.
Bing, bang, boom. Okay, let's go to the Star Mechanical guest line, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. You can find out more about them online at starmechanical.ca. Residential, commercial, 24/7 emergency service. They do it all. They do it well. And if you see a Star Mechanical truck driving around Edmonton, give them a wave. Maybe give them a honk, and they'll know. Yep. Matt Larkin joins us from dailyfaceoff.com. Thanks for popping on, Matt. Got the Nation Network sweater on. You're all swagged out.
I'm repping it, and guys, I was enjoying eavesdropping there. I wanted to see where that convo was going. I felt like a fly on the wall. I don't want to interrupt.
Did you think it was going to go the way it did?
Do you think?
I don't know where it was going. Although, Liam, I got to say, I'm with you on the Zach Hyman talk. Putting him on the third line, it was cute, but we can move on now. Let's acknowledge that the cold streak is over, and that should be something Canada should be listening to as well. That ridiculous snub.
You had him on your team, right?
Oh, hell yeah. I had him on the first line, PP1, net front, Evan Bouchard as well. Those are my top 2 snubs. And he had 3 goals in 20 games. And it was recency bias like crazy. And Canada's going to regret that one.
Matt Larkin throwing out a pro Oilers take. The chat's going to love him for that. Should we make the chat hate him? Hey, Larkin, where are you ranking the Oilers goalie duo this year? Oh, did we lose him? No. Oh, that was such a good joke. Where is he?
Oh, I missed it, Tyler. You froze, buddy.
Oh, I said the chat's going to love you for that. Then I said we're going to make them hate you. And where do you rank the Oilers goalie duo this year?
Oh, geez. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for teeing me up there. Well, I was just checking up. They're still both south of 900. And there's 2 ways to look at it, right? You can say, hey, this is the duo that got you to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. But if I really want to twist the knife, that's the duo that got you to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. And maybe you could have won if you had a better duo. Stuart Skinner, of course, you got to ride the wave with him. When he's hot, he's as good as any goalie in the league. But when he's cold, you can't trust him. And for my money, he's the least consistent starting goaltender in the NHL. So I do wonder if that duo is going to be enough. What do you guys think?
I am pro Skinner.
I've always been of the mindset of like Calvin Pickett's never given us a reason to not believe in him, right? So that's where I come on it, is like, he's passed every test. He was a good backup this year. He's been, slightly below average this year. And people are always like, you need a better goalie for when Skinner falters in the playoffs. But when Skinner faltered in the playoffs, Calvin Pickard did exactly what you wanted him to do. So I just don't see it as a big problem. In an ideal world, you have this great 1-2 punch of two young guys. Sure, but the Oilers have bigger needs, and that's kind of what I want to get into with you here. I kind of going to make this a bit more of like a bigger Western Conference conversation. So I guess to lay the groundwork for that, who do you have in your tier of true Stanley Cup contenders out west? RIP.
Wow.
Oh, Larkin's internet is killing us.
It's my internet. I wasn't sure if it's me or you guys. Okay, but
it's someone's internet.
Yeah. Okay. I heard. So who do I have as the big gun contenders in the West? Of course, the Oilers. The Oilers were my Stanley Cup pick preseason. They remain my Stanley Cup pick. Of course, things got really interesting today with the Evander Kane news that now we know that's more than $5 million is going to be usable. And I think there's an opportunity to bring in some serious help, especially in terms of middle pair, maybe on D, right shot. I think what you have to be looking at. And if you're Stan Bowman, it's funny, I have a piece coming up on the weekend looking at every GM and their past history at the trade deadline. Stan Bowman, as Blackhawks GM, was very active at the trade deadline whenever he had a good team. He never went after the biggest fish, but he consistently added complementary pieces, whether it was Johnny Oduya or Andrew Desjardins, sort of pieces like that that can kind of put you over the top. I think if you're an Oilers fan, you're going to be looking for those types of acquisitions. I think you got to help that penalty kill. And I'm wondering for you guys, is there room for a penalty killing forward to be added to this team? Because I'm looking at the Chicago Blackhawks. They somehow have the fourth best penalty kill in the NHL. You've got Jason Dickinson and Nick Foligno there. They both have a year left on their deals. They're north of $4 million. But if you could get Chicago to eat half the salary, do you bring in one of those guys as a PK specialist?
Jason Dickinson would actually be a good ad, I think.
He's tempting. You got to get the 50% retained, but even then, when you look at the structure of the Oilers down the middle, you got McDavid, Draisaitl, Henrique locked up for next season as well. Even at $2 million, can you afford to pay a fourth line center $2 million when you have young guys in the system like a Noah Philp you're planning on bringing up? Like if Dickinson was a pending UFA, I am like 100% in on that idea. I think with the terms where I lose it a little bit with Dickinson.
But you could just put Henrique on the wing next season. Like to me, once you get past the deadline, the cap, who really cares how you're doing it, right? You put your best 12 forwards on the ice and you try and win the Stanley Cup. You get to the summer, and that's when you worry about that stuff. If you have to move on from Henrique, like Jeff Skinner will be gone. There's spots to play, I think. I like Jason Dickinson. How's his offensive year doing? He was really good last year, right? But this year maybe falling down a bit.
Well, he's your prototypical depth forward who's not a zero on offense, right? He can give you a lift. In a full season, he can score 10 goals. And that matters, I think, especially in the playoffs when those role players, they become important, whether it's PK, whether it's just grinding out a shift, winning your shift, getting that extra goal. I think his skill level meets that requirement. And I'm with Liam as well. You sort of say, let's let future us worry about this. I think you got to take your shot. You know you're right in the middle of your window right now. Plus, cap's going up. So just the increase in the cap alone can kind of account for if you're bringing in an extra couple $1 million. That said, if you're worried about the term, which I think is viable, maybe you just look for a rental on the defensive side. I think in terms of PK specialists, in terms of guys who are pending UFAs, I like the options on D better. So maybe a David Savard, someone like that, a right shot who's got Stanley Cup winning experience as well. To me, he'd be a really nice fit for the Oilers.
Savard doesn't move well enough for me. I think you need to put someone who skates and passes well next to Darnell Nurse. So Savard scares me. I like Provorov, man. If Provorov is truly available in Columbus, I know Frank's talked about him sticking around, his brother, all of that. He likes it in Columbus, but Provorov's really the only guy on that board. If I'm going to Montreal, I'm swinging big and I'm going for Mike Matheson. But like you kind of said, that's never really been Bowman's style.
That's right. And Matheson's a lefty. And then Provorov can play both sides. But Columbus, they're just really making things complicated for the entire league right now because they have some assets that are really appealing, but they're just playing too well. And just sentimentally, like that story is just, how can you not cheer for this team to make the playoffs? And I think it might motivate them as a franchise too. If they're close, Don Waddell in the past, when he has a decent team, he's willing to take a swing, doesn't do it every year, went and got Jake Gensel last year. But if you're close, do you not owe it to your fan base to take a swing and just do something for that that fan base that had its heart broken. The whole team had its heart broken with Johnny Gaudreau. So I do think there's going to be some hesitation on Don Waddell's part to make a big move if his team's in contention in a month or two.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I want to ask you about some other teams. We talked about the Oilers, Evander Kane's LTIR money. Man, another team in the West who's got LTIR money to burn is the Dallas Stars. Jim Nill has never been the guy to trade the first or trade the big name prospect or whatever. Last year, he got Tanev for a second. Do you think this is the year Jim Nill could kind of push some chips in and go, okay, let's give this team everything they need?
I think it needs to be because of what's happening with Tyler Seguin. He's not officially on LTIR yet, but I think everyone understands he's going to be when it counts. And I think with Dallas, they'd be knocking on the door. Yes, they're still a young team, but there's parts of that core. The older guys are aging out, guys like Jamie Benn. You still want to take a shot while you have such a strong and deep team. And Jim Nill, like you said, I agree, he's relatively conservative, but I like Dallas, as Frank Sarvalli published right now on DFO, looking at the Western Conference team's objectives. They need another right shot defenseman, maybe top four. I really like Rasmus Ristolainen for the Dallas Stars. If the Philadelphia Flyers are willing to part with him, the only problem being the asking price is supposedly a first-round pick, but Dallas, they love their Finnish defensemen. Just from a chemistry standpoint, you have Esa Lindell there already. You have Miro Heiskanen. I think it would be a natural fit for Ristolainen, and he brings a little more upside. Yes, he has a physical game, but he still has some skill. He can move the puck. He's mobile for a big man, and I think he'd be a perfect fit for Dallas.
What about Colorado? They made their swing. They got Mackenzie Blackwood, so goaltending's all shored up. They're another team. Like, who knows what's going on with Gabe Landeskog? I pointed out to Frank today on DFO Live. People keep being like, Landeskog is close. He's maybe coming back. Like, we've seen Jonathan Taves in the NHL more recently than we've seen Gabe Landeskog in the NHL. And the idea of a Taves return seems insane. So, like, just kind of keep that in mind. It's been so long since this guy's played hockey. If they have Landeskog's LTIR money, they could maybe take a big swing.
That's right. And the understanding, it's on Daily Faceoff. Again, I'm going to keep plugging us right now, is that the Avs are looking for a middle six center, which is interesting. I don't know if that's low-key shade at Casey Middlestat, who was really great after they got him last year. He was, I think, excellent in the playoffs, has underachieved a little bit this year. So if Colorado is looking for help, not just bottom six, but middle six, that to me implies that they're looking for a little bit more of a lift. And to me, someone like Yanni Gourde would make a ton of sense. Stanley Cup winning experience. He was tremendous on that third line for Tampa Bay. 2 cups. Seattle's going nowhere. Maybe Brock Nelson, if you have that LTR money. He's the best player available in terms of a rental forward right now. And I like Jean-Gabriel Pageau as well. I think he's a quintessential middle six center. He has a little bit of jam to his game. He can kill penalties, do a little bit of everything.
The Minnesota Wild, I think, interesting. Like, just looking at this article that you keep talking about, the non-rental center, does that seem like a fit for Dylan Cousins, do you think?
Well, I see it differently. I was actually pitching this to Frank earlier today. I'm like, can you turn a rental center into a non-rental? And that's Brock Nelson. He's a Minnesota boy. We know that Bill Guerin really likes him. That's why even when Nelson's having one of the worst seasons of his career, he still made Team USA. And I think that's a situation where you could do sort of like what the Islanders did with Bo Horvat a couple of years ago. You acquire him as a quote-unquote rental, and then shortly thereafter, you extend him. I think it would be a perfect fit as a homecoming. He's exactly what the Wild need. I think many, they just got to get through all these injuries. They've been really snake-bitten this season, but luckily they have enough of a cushion in the standings. So I like Nelson. I'm going to sort of beat the system there with the question and say, okay, he's a rental, but not really, in terms of what I'm kind of picturing in my head.
That fit makes so much sense. Last team, I guess, to ask you about in terms of the big dogs in the West is the Vegas Golden Knights. You talk about, what GMs like to do in the past. Kelly McCrimmon and company love taking those big swings and getting the big fish on the market. But I'm just looking here, like, yes, they could accrue close to $3 million in cap space, but they do not have a first-round pick in each of the next 2 years. They really don't have that many prospects. Like, I'm sitting here going, there's no way Vegas could do something crazy again. But then that almost means Vegas is going to find a way to do something crazy.
They always do. And then they did it twice last year with Noah Hannafin and Thomas Hertl. Here's a crazy stat that I was looking up earlier today. So Vegas has had 10 first-round picks in their history. 8 of them are gone, whether they picked the player or just traded the pick before making the pick. If you count this year's draft, it's 9 of 11. And then the 2026 pick, I think it moves, right? Depending on if they trade it this year, they're allowed to push the one they gave to Calgary to the next year. So it's insane what they've done in terms of just punting every single future they have. But the thing is with Vegas this year, I feel like, are they sitting down with Mark Stone and saying, are you sure you're feeling okay? Is your back You sure it doesn't hurt a little bit? Because it's kind of awkward. It's like, oh, he's okay. He's in the lineup, and they're used to having this space to play with. They don't have it right now. So I think this might be the rare year where Vegas has to more or less roll with what it has, which is excellent. They're arguably the most well-balanced team in the NHL right now. Then again, we should know better than to doubt Vegas because they always pull a rabbit out of their hat, man.
It's wild.
It honestly feels with Vegas always being that sort of unknown, and then the LTIR money that 3 of the other big dogs have, and Minnesota's got some wiggle room and they could get aggressive. It's like we could be getting to a point where every team in the West, or at least 5 or 6 of the playoff teams, are trying to load up at the deadline. Like, I use the term arms race. It could absolutely be that.
That's right. You have to look at the LA Kings as well. I think the Kings have been better than a lot of people expected. And I'm eating crow on the Kings. I hated their offseason. I thought they made themselves a lot slower. I didn't like even the Dubois trade. I thought they downgraded the net, and they've proven everyone wrong. I think they've been one of the best coached teams in the NHL. I think Jim Hiller deserves a little more credit in the Jack Adams race. They've been tremendous defensively, even though they lost Matt Roy. They've just really surprised me. And the understanding is they're looking for a left shot defenseman. So I like maybe Marcus Pettersson on Pittsburgh if the Penguins are willing to sell. The East is another story. I don't know what the hell's going on in the East. Are there like 2 good teams in the East, 3? But that would be a good fit if the Penguins are willing to do it. But again, that's just one more example. A lot of teams, I think, feel like actual contenders. I think the West is just much stronger than the East this year.
Yeah, the gap between 8th and 16th in the East is 7 points currently, which is just absolutely bonkers. Matt Larkin from Daily Faceoff. You guys are doing the deadline countdown series, same thing you did last year, but every day on Daily Faceoff, if you're a nerd for trade talk, they have a new article going up every day. Today's was Western Objectives, and then over the weekend, you're going to be doing the GM one, right?
That's right. First, tomorrow, we've got Stephen Ellis, the prospect guru, looking at every prospect who was traded last year at the deadline and updating how they've done over the past year. And then on Sunday, I'm going through every GM, sort of a psychological profile, showing what they've done whenever they were a buyer in hopes of predicting what they're going to do this year.
I like that. Matt Larkin from Daily Faceoff. Appreciate you popping on. Look forward to having you on again in the lead up to deadline season.
Cheers, boys. Always a pleasure.
Bye, Matt. Matt Larkin on the Star Mechanical guest line. Stephen Ellis, the other day I asked him, I said, Stephen, give me one prospect, entire world of hockey, who you are excited to watch in the second half of the season. You know who he said?
Bo Akey.
Sam O'Reilly.
Oh, nice.
Ooh. We forget he had a really good training camp.
Yeah. Did he get injured at some point this year? Something like that happened in London? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Do you know the Oilers have another good prospect that we don't talk about ever?
The Russian?
No.
Oh.
Samuel Jonsson.
Who?
He was a 5th round pick in 2022. He's a goaltender.
Oh.
He's 6'5". He's playing in the hockey
Allsvenskan,
which I think is a good league. I don't think it's a top league.
That's
in Sweden,
where
right?
during the COVID year, that's where the Oilers sent Bouchard and Benson to play. Okay,
in 15 games, he has a 13-1 record, 1.54 goals against average, and a 932 and 5 shutouts.
So I think the next step would be he goes to the Liga or one of those leagues.
SHL, I think, is the Swedish one, right?
Yeah.
But hey, like the Oilers have a ton of goalie prospects because you kind of just draft a goalie every year. That's just what NHL teams do. Maybe he's got some value.
Drafting goalies is very much a dart throw thing. Like this guy in 2 years could come out of Sweden and it could be like, holy shit, he's unbelievable.
Exactly. Like the guy the Oilers drafted this year, Emil Vinny.
Yeah. Didn't make Finland's World Junior team.
No, he didn't. He's kind of bounced around a few leagues, but in like the U20 league in Finland, 7 games, 2.02 goals against and a 910 save percentage. They obviously have Connor Unger, who they signed last year, and Nathaniel Day. Not even to mention Olivier Rodrigue, who maybe is a trade chip. I don't know. Like we always look at the forwards and the defense, but I feel like they have some goalie guys that could move to add some.
Yeah, the only thing is teams never really value goalie prospects, right? Like, I mean, the one time Philip Gustafsson got traded when he was a prospect is kind of like a somewhat centerpiece part of a deal, but
maybe you just use it to like
sweeten the pot.
You don't have enough picks, right? But
yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like,
he's
I don't know.
Centerpiece for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if Ollie Rodriguez has more than a 3rd round value to him, right?
But maybe like a Johansson who's only 21, 20. Might even be younger than that. Maybe.
Okay, let's cruise along here with the show. We got a couple more things I want to get to today, including a Sherwood Ford Giant question for today, brought to you by, guess who? Short Ford the
Whoa.
Giant, the nation valet service that you can get it, and you never have to visit the dealership again for your car service. Even if you didn't buy your vehicle at Short Ford the Giant, even if it's not a Ford, you can just call, say, hey, I need an oil change. I want the valet. They'll come pick up your car, drive it to the dealership, do the work, drive it right back. It's an unbelievable service that our friends at Short Ford the Giant offer. Here is your Giant question. We are at dead on game 41 of the NHL season. So predict the final stat lines for Connor and Leon now that you can basically just take their numbers and, well, kind of double them. Because, I mean, even for McDavid, he missed 3 games, but you can't get those 3 games back. So Draisaitl is on pace for 62 goals, 60 assists, and 122 points. McDavid is on pace for 32 goals, 84 assists, and 32, 84, 86 plus 30, 116 points.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, maybe.
Let
Yeah,
me look.
116 points.
Elite Prospects does a good job of just like saying what they're on pace for.
Do your own research.
I did. I Googled it. He is on
There it
pace
is.
for 120 points this season.
That's what the media wants you to believe. 134?
120.
Oh, 120.
Yeah.
See, but I think that's not counting the missed games. and
It
all
says
that.
79 games.
Okay. Well then. Anywho, Leon Draisaitl, let's start with him. On pace for 62 goals. What do you think he finishes with?
Yeah, I think 60 at a minimum for his goals.
You think 60 is your floor now?
Yeah, I think I've kind of been on the 60 train.
I have too. I do think like we haven't really seen any sort of a prolonged slump from Leon Draisaitl yet this season. I
No.
mean, he's so damn good that there is a very, very high chance that he just doesn't go into a prolonged slump, but he missed he's gone back-to-back games without a goal only 3 times this season, and he's never gone 3 straight games without a goal. At some point, even though it's not a slump, at some point he probably does go 3 or 4 games without a goal, and that'll really hurt his pace. But I wouldn't go 62. I think he'll finish dead on 60. It'll be like game 82, and we'll be like, this is the reason Dry's playing tonight, is to get goal 60.
I don't think he will go through that kind of 3-game slump. I think he's just playing so well. And we've had such a big sample size now. I think it's hard to predict if he'll go through a bit of a down period. So
Doesn't have a hat trick yet. Who knows? I guess he could fire off a hat trick. Also, the way he's shooting the puck right now, 7 shots last night against Pittsburgh is insane.
we talked about it last night on After Dark. That first goal he scored last night, bit underrated for like what he did. And I think most guys would try and go high on it. Like kind of saw what position Djokovic is and just kind of poked it in right underneath him. Like I think it just shows how confident he's playing. I'm gonna go 60 and 60 for Leon.
120 points?
60 goals, 60 assists. When was the last time that happened, I wonder?
Yeah, that'd be
Three?
crazy.
Thank you.
60 and 60. I mean, who would have been the last 60 goal guy? I'm sure they would have had 60 assists.
Yeah, McDavid.
Oh yeah, McDavid. That's a good point.
Before that?
So if you don't sum results, we'll go back to 2020-21. Matthews, when he scored 69 goals, only had 38 assists. Crazy. McDavid in 22-23 is the last guy to do it.
So then before that, it would have been a while because we didn't have a 60 goal scorer since Stamkos. And then before that, Ovechkin get it maybe? Well, not one, I think, I would imagine.
I'm working. I'm researching.
Yeah, so
crazy over here.
I'll say 60 and 60 at a minimum for Leon.
60 and 60. So since the year 2000, there has only been one Connor McDavid. He's the only one to do it. To score 60 goals and have at least 60 assists. And he had 89 assists that year, which is insane.
That is crazy.
There's actually only been 6 players to do a 50-60 season. McKinnon in 23-24, Draisaitl in 22-23, Jágr in 01, Sakic in 01, Jágr in 06. Interesting.
That's some pretty good company to be in.
It's not bad at all. So you're going to go 60, 61, whatever.
Yeah.
I think I'll agree with you on that. What about McDavid? I do think at some point here, we're probably getting some amount of a heater. I'll say he's on pace for 34, and at least going into yesterday, it was 34 and 87 for 121 points. I'm going to say at some point he goes on a goal scoring run.
I'm kind of thinking that too.
So I'll say he finds a way to get up to 38 goals on the year. And I'll say he finishes with 90 assists. So I'll say there is a bit of a heater and he finishes with 128 points.
Yeah, I was thinking he gets up to about 40 as well. You said how many points there? 130?
Yes.
128.
120.
Okay, I'll say he finishes with 132. you just know there's one game in there where he ends up with like 6 assists on the night or something dumb like that. Right?
He'll have a couple of like crazy games. I do agree with you on that.
What was that thing we saw? We were reading it on ONR the other day of like how many 4-point games McDavid had. Wasn't it like 41 or something ridiculous?
It honestly is. It's absolutely bonkers.
I had to scroll for a while.
Yeah, we did. So you'd have to go back, obviously, 2015, October 1 of 2015 to get his full career scope. You got to go by game. You need to not sum the results. The issue we were running into was just finding a way to only have it be Connor and not anyone else, or not have like Leon in the mix as well. I guess I could just do the nationality because Connor would be Canadian. You from Ontario. Oh man, NHL.com. I'm cooking, Liam. I'm cooking. Okay, Connor McDavid 4-point games. Oh man, there's guys in here who are messing up the count. We'll get an answer next week. Lance, $1, Bob. Yeah,
I'm gonna just ask ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Well, it was a question. How many 4-point games? How many
4-point games does Connor McDavid have? They'll probably just link you to some site.
No, they give you the information.
Really?
How many 4-point games has?
But can we trust AI?
We're gonna have to. We don't have any other answer.
Okay. Oh, actually, okay. 48. There have been 48 4-point games by Canadian-born players from Ontario since Connor McDavid started his career.
Okay.
And then we have to take out how many from Hyman? 1, 2, 3 from Hyman. 1 from Riley Sheahan. What?
Oh,
of course.
2 from Neil puts us up to 6. 1 from Pouliot puts us up to 7. And
Pouliot?
1 from Fogle puts us up to 8. So Connor McDavid has had 44 plus point games in his career. Why did Riley Sheahan have a 4-point game? I don't know.
All those names, I never would have guessed those.
I feel like I should remember something like that.
Yeah, Riley Sheahan on a January 18th against Arizona, 1 goal, 3 assists, 15 minutes, only had 1 shot. James Neal had the 4-goal game. Pouliot had a 4-assist game in 2016. And who can forget Warren Fogel's 5-point game against the Ducks last season on New Year's Eve?
I'll never forget it.
I did forget it. Okay, let's continue along with the program, Liam. It's deadline season, so we want to kick off our new segment. We did this last year, but the rumor mill. Let's take a look at some spicy rumors from around the NHL, and it's brought to you by our new friends at the Edmonton Police Service, who want to remind you to curb the danger. Report an impaired driver by calling 911. If you suspect a driver is impaired by drugs or alcohol, call 911 immediately. Don't think twice. You'll be asked to report the last direction of the vehicle description, and the plate number, and then they take it from there. If possible, they like to keep the vehicle in sight as well. I was actually a part of this during my ride along, but for more information on curb the danger, visit edmontonpolice.ca/impaired driving. Someone commented Gagne had an 8-point game. Yeah, we were talking about in McDavid's career. We're trying to find the McDavid thing. But anyways, 40. Our new friends at Edmonton Police Service, let's get into the rumor mill. Darren Dreger reporting that Boston Bruins GM Don Sweeney is open for business. He said they have some free agent players like Trent Frederick and Justin Brazeau who could be in play. Why do you moan like that?
Trent Frederick would be awesome.
Yes, he would.
He would be so fun.
2.3 million, 26-year-old centerman, shoots left pending UFA.
All in. He would be my guy. If he is available, I think he is such a unique player and would do anything for the team. And I think that is amazing. And I feel like he's one of those guys that would just like drag people into the battle with him.
He's a dog.
He's a dog. Yeah, he's so good. Didn't he have 30 goals last year? Am I mistaken?
He didn't have 30, but he had a really good offensive season recently with the Bruins. So he's at 6 goals in 44 games this year. He had 18 in 82 last year. 40 points.
26 years old. Damn.
It'd be tempting. It'd be tempting.
Wow, he was the San Jose. So that pick they got was a San Jose draft pick, what they traded for Martin Jones.
Yeah. If Boston gets serious about a sell-off,
everything.
Brandon Carlo's the guy you give up a lot for Brandon Carlo, right?
Yeah, you probably do. 28 years old, right? Shot
4.1, 2 more years.
I just don't know if he would want to go.
He does have some trade protection, so 8-team no trade list. He is an American. So you always do wonder when it's American with an 8-team specific like that no trade list. That is like, does he just not want to play in Canada?
Did play in the WHL, unfortunately for the Tri-City Americans, but like he's still on the West. Like he's from Colorado.
Yeah.
So it's not crazy to think that maybe we would consider coming here. The problem
Trudeau's gone.
Yep, and we're going to become the 51st state.
Yep.
Which we'll get into again in what's trending. I got some thoughts on that. Should we just get right into that? No, I'm kidding. I think the fact he has 2 more years left might be the obstacle. If he had 1 more year left, I think I would be okay. But
Boston spent so much money on their blue line that at some point they need to offload salary somewhere.
Then that's their problem.
I know, but I'm saying that's where you can take advantage of it.
But do they not just offload by saying, why do they need to offload? They have 27-year-old McAvoy, 30-year-old Lindholm, 29-year-old Zadorov, and 28-year-old Carlo. All those guys, by the time they're like, Lindholm's the oldest one, 6.5, and he's your best defenseman. I don't think Carlo would be available.
Oh, dude, it'd just be so perfect. He's everything you want.
He's everything you ever need.
Yep. Another rumor. Frank did say today on DFO Live that the Oilers are looking to take a big swing and go for an Ekholm-style right-handed defenseman. So, again,
it fits the bill.
It fits the bill. Frank says they're not going to nibble around the edges. It's a swing. Bat off the shoulder time for Stan.
But I feel like Ekholm too, like even the idea of him like having that long left, he came here and was like, this is like my hometown. My wife loves it here. Like, how many guys in the NHL are you finding like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. We had too many people trying to get deep in the politics. We had to trim some fat out of the YouTube.
I didn't see what he said.
It's gone.
I'm gonna read it right now.
Okay, there you go. That's the rumor mill. The Bruins situation's interesting to me. I would just Brandon Carlo, please, Don Sweeney, do something stupid. Just get really dumb with it.
Well, he's a desperate man right now. Justin Brazeau wouldn't be the guy I go for though.
You don't like Brazeau?
His contract's obviously good.
What's Mark Castle's deal? Can we get him?
He just signed that extension.
So, yeah, that's right.
Brazeau's league min. He's a right winger, comes with just a ton of size. I worry about the offense there. Like, I know you're not doing it for offense, you're doing it for like energy and stuff, but like I would just pay up and get Frederick so you can slot him in at 4C. Like, that's the more natural fit for you. Brazeau does have 10 goals on the year. Okay. No, I don't like Matthew Olivier, but I like the Frederick idea. I can get behind that.
I'm pro Trent Frederick. God, I would love him. Yeah. I maybe even sign, and quite frankly, I wouldn't care. Like, I would obviously like him, but like just having for that run would be good enough for me.
Yeah, he seems like a rental playoff run kind of guy. Aiden says, I'm still a Severson guy. If you could somehow make the money and term work, I'm going to have a video coming out on the YouTube, and I also wrote about it on the site. We'll drop that maybe this weekend, maybe Monday. But I kind of went for some off-the-board trade ideas. So you can look for that YouTube video at some point over the next 48 to 72 hours. Let's get into what's trending.
Thank you.
What's trending for Sherwood Power Sports and Marine? Hockey fans helping hockey fans. You can hit the trails this winter or the waves next summer. As fellow hockey fans, the team at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine, they want to help nation citizens gear up. They do sell ATV gear, all that kind of stuff. All the accessories you need, whether it's your boat, motorcycle, e-bike, quad, they got it at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. What's trending, Liam? I thought maybe you actually had something. Do you not?
Well, I got one thing, and it is on this, and I don't want to get into it, but I just think this 51st state thing is very funny in the sense of like Canada would just become like one big state.
Yeah,
like we have 10 provinces.
It's almost like the whole it's almost like the whole idea is very stupid.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And like we're just out here actively saying we're going to take over countries. Kind of in an insane period of time right now. That's all I have. I think it's so weird.
What I have is more Jays talk.
Oh yeah,
I saw you tweeting about this.
So they say they signed him in through arbitration.
Oh, so you're talking Vladdy first.
Oh, it just says Vladdy stuff.
I do have that in there too. Yes,
that's all I have.
So the Jays avoided arbitration with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They avoided arbitration with pretty much all of their like pending free agents, which is good. You don't want to go to arb if you don't have to. But now there is some talk that the Jays were waiting to give Vladdy their big contract offer until they avoided arb, so that when they sign him, the deal kicks in a year later.
Okay, so this is good.
Good. And Hector Gomez, who is like pretty plugged in major league circles, like he's a decent insider. He tweeted that the Jays are getting close to tabling Vladdy an offer that is very close to what the player was looking for. So,
good idea.
It would be a great idea. Also, Scott Mitchell, the big TSN Blue Jays reporter, he tweeted back on December 2nd. So there's another high-end Japanese pitcher coming over. like Ohtani level with the arm. He's not a two-way guy, but he's he will be a very, very good pitcher.
Okay.
Scott Mitchell tweeted December 2nd. This might percolate for a hot minute, given it'll be mid-January, but the amount I've heard all in when it comes to the Jays and Roki Sasaki is probably a good thing. They have an existing relationship via close people. Not crazy to think he'd be intrigued by Toronto, the city. And then Scott Mitchell yesterday just quote tweeted it and said, "Hold on tight."
Are you not tired of all this?
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing, Liam.
I'm tired of hearing about it.
I'm a moron. I'm right back in. I'm a
Not a
Roki Sasaki, Jays Vladdy extension, Jays to the playoffs. Rebuild? What rebuild? He's signing with the Dodgers, but
He's
still.
not coming here or close to here. He might come more to Edmonton. It's close to Japan.
This has been a pretty terrible offseason.
It's been a terrible 3 years.
Yes.
They haven't done anything.
Mhm.
They're just the guy who sits in the corner. It's absolutely ridiculous what this franchise has turned into. That year with what Alex Anthopoulos was amazing. Just for him to decide this team isn't even that good, but I'm going to get everyone I can, and we're going to try and win this damn thing. And now you've got these two guys. You keep calling yourself a moron, which is wrong. You've got these two guys, Atkins and Chaparro.
Yeah, Shatkins is what they call the duo.
They should be sacked, Kings. Get them out of there. Terrible. They're worst in the league, I would assume. I don't watch at all. But they suck. Like, how can they do this fan base every single year?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, what's that guy they got last year? IAK?
IKF.
IKF. That's how good he was. He's gone already.
Yeah, they traded him at the deadline.
Terrible.
They traded everyone they signed at the deadline.
Like, you're in a division with the Yankees, the Red Sox.
And you're Rogers.
Yeah.
You're so rich.
So rich. And they refuse to be good at all. Ridiculous.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
I don't even like baseball. It's so annoying.
And I love baseball.
You do.
In my rankings, it goes, I want to see, and like it's close. Oilers Stanley Cup #1. Then like right there, Bills Super Bowl. And then probably on par with it is Jays winning the World Series.
Mine would be
No
Oilers. Oilers.
They're all right there.
Bills.
No, dude, when the Jays are good, it is
fun.
electric. This country is so much fun.
So mine would
guess that
be
would be fair.
Oilers winning a Super Bowl. Wait a minute. Oilers winning a Stanley Cup. England winning the World Cup. Bolton get promoted back to the Premier League.
That's the line for Bolton, right? Like just get up there.
We just got to keep climbing. We're doing a terrible job of it. But either way, I guess Lions and then everything else is just kind of happens to me.
Everyone does have that hierarchy though.
Yeah, like I love the Lions, but like I would never ever go to a game in Detroit. Like don't think I would ever consider going.
Why not?
Because it's Detroit.
I go to Buffalo. I almost went to Buffalo this
But
weekend.
I feel like it's very different.
Detroit's.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I tried to go see him in Arizona this year. Like
Yeah.
I want to go to a game, but like I'm not like that upset. Like I will get up every Saturday morning. I get up. Probably shouldn't tell you this. I get up earlier on Saturday mornings to watch Bolton play than I get up for work Monday to Friday. And
Write that down.
8 a.m. games every Saturday. And
HR at bettercollective.com.
I go to
have
my
a
dad's, my
complaint
mom and
about
dad's.
one of my employees.
Go to my mom and dad's. We have coffee and bacon boys, and we watch Bolton blow away another lead every Saturday. And we hate it, but we do it again every week.
That's what being a sports fan's all about.
Some
Yeah.
traditions just mean more than others.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
My hierarchy as well. Pats Super Bowl already got it. Raptors championship got it. Atlanta Braves, but I'm a Jays guy too. So it's really just the oil, it feels like right now. Last year would have been sweet.
Have you ever seen one of your teams win?
I mean, I hopped on the Raptors bandwagon that year. That was
Yeah,
cool, and it
but
was like really fun. And then
I was on there too, and that was fun to be a part
Yeah.
of. But like, they're not one of my teams.
I
Like,
didn't
don't
like-
care.
like I don't miss when the Jays are good. I don't miss a regular season
Yeah.
game. I will watch all 162. When the Bills, obviously, I can tell you the last time I didn't watch a Bills game.
Right.
Oilers, same thing. So yeah, no, I've never seen one of my teams win a championship.
Guys, take my word for it. Watching your team in the Super Bowl is fun.
I've seen my team win one trophy, and I've seen England lose in 2 finals, which sucked so much.
Yeah.
Bolton won the Papa John's trophy, and I watched it from a Smitty's in Calgary on
Shout out
my
Papa John's.
iPhone.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, let's wrap up. For our friends at Bet365, download the app today. Use the promo code NATION, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary. Over at Bet365. NFL playoffs this weekend, Liam. Tomorrow, Chargers, Texans, Steelers, Ravens.
Do you worry about the playoffs and betting on them? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like the first round is just so predictable. But
I-
also, too, maybe that's kind of part of it, and you should just bet on it.
So here's what I like. I'm building the teaser.
Here we go.
I think the Chargers will win, but I think the Texans are a bit more respectable than people think. And I also don't think the Chargers are as good as people think. So I think that game will be close. So I'm going to tease the Texans up to +9. They can keep it within 9 on home field.
Right? They totally didn't just get blown out on Christmas Day.
Yeah, but by who?
The Ravens are way better.
Yeah.
I agree.
Bills down to -2.5 seems like a slam dunk spot.
Yep.
Thank you. I kind of like the Commanders to keep it within 9 against the Bucks.
How about just Commanders money line?
Yeah, but I'm doing a teaser. So the 3-leg teaser, Commanders +3, or sorry, Commanders +9, Bills -2.5, Texans +9, +150 on the parlay.
That's all right.
I also do think you can do an over-under one because I think Commanders Bucks is screaming over 44 when you tease it down. I think Chargers Texans is over 36 pretty comfortably, and I do think Bills Broncos will go over 41 because the Bills will get up and the Broncos will just take some deep shots and get some late.
Yeah, that Mims guy. You know he's catching one bomb.
Yeah.
Something dumb. May I present to you an idea I just thought of?
Sure.
The Connor McDavid Arrieta's retirement game point tally night.
What? None of that made any sense to me.
Off the tongue
But
quite
continue.
well, I think.
Now, where are you going with this?
Alex DeBrincat and Dylan Strome both played tonight.
Okay.
Former teammates of Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
So if I do Alex DeBrincat point, let me just find it.
And then you're going to go do a
And then
Dylan
I'm gonna
Strome
go
point
do
as
a
well.
Dylan Strome point. Did I say Cousins? So Alex DeBrincat, they play Chicago, by the way.
Mhm.
-190. Pretty good.
Okay.
Washington play Montreal at home.
Mhm.
So then you go to that points on Bet365. Dylan Strome -210. +125. The Connor McDavid Arrieta retirement by
But what if
former
there's-
teammate parlay points night.
Reese graphic. Right there.
But what if they're so sad about not being there that they're rattled and they
Or
play well?
maybe they're just so ecstatic about not being there that they don't have to go back to Erie, that they
Maybe.
can play in the NHL and score some points. What do
we
you think?
missed something. It's fine. We missed something in what's trending. Zach Hyman bought the Brampton Bulldogs.
Now that is an organization that has been bought and relocated about a bajillion times.
At one point, they relocated and moved 8 minutes down the road.
No, that was a different one. That was Mississauga. Who did they go from?
Brampton.
Were they Brampton?
I think so.
So now there's two teams in
I don't know.
Brampton and Brantford.
There's what?
They bought
those
the
are two different
Brantford Bulldog.
You know what?
Brantford Bulldogs.
51st state I'm in. This is all too confusing.
Yeah, so the Brantford Bulldogs used to be the oh my goodness, Belleville Bulls.
Belleville Bull.
Belleville Bulls. I knew that was wrong. Then they became the Hamilton Bulldogs, and then they became the Brantford Bulldogs only like 2 years ago. Are they going to get moved again? Do you care?
No, I just thought it was cool. Hyman's buying the team.
Because he's so damn rich.
Money, money, money.
The,
As our friend Avery would say. Good pull.
All time.
All-time clip.
The OHL, I kind of wish we had something like that. I know we have the Western League,
We
but
do.
the OHL, I think what makes it so different is just how close it all is, right? Like that's what the excitement is and why it's so popular in Ontario and Toronto is because like you can basically go and within like an hour radius is like 7 teams.
Yes.
There's Edmonton and you have to drive to Red Deer. Like it's just kind of difficult to do it.
I just absolutely love the beginning of that. I wish we had something like that here.
I wish we had some major junior league. That's
AJHL?
I said major junior league. Crew Saints tonight. Speaking of good junior
good.
hockey in the area,
In the park?
in the Saints, which is Spruce Grove.
Yep.
And then tomorrow, Brooks, Crusaders, Shore Park.
Oilers Hawks 5 o'clock in Chicago. Who pregame with Boardsy 4 o'clock? Who's on with you?
Sean Pang and Eben.
Sean
Pangsy.
Pangs. Always a good time when Pangs is on. Pregame at 4, postgame immediately following the final buzzer. So a shout out to Boardsy. Pregame and keep it locked here on the YouTube. That's a wrap for this show. We got Oilers Nation Radio to record. That'll drop a little bit later on this afternoon. Thanks for tuning in all week, everybody. Even though 2 of our guests bailed, we still had a lot of fun. Larkin was actually great today. We should probably have Larkin on more. He gives good information.
That's good.
But yeah, shout out to everyone who did pop on. Next week, we got Chase on, we got Demers, we got a whole bunch of fun stuff lined up, so you won't want to miss it. Have yourselves a good weekend. Cheer hard for the Edmonton Oilers. Enjoy the football, and we'll see you Monday. Oil up.
Thank you for watching Oilers Nation every day. Hit the subscribe button to never miss a show. And for more, visit Oilersnation.com.